Hey, happy Friday, boys and girls. It is time to get rolling again on this sign. Rolling Hills, rolling sign. Thanks again for all the great comments. It seems like you guys kind of like this type of thing. I don't know when the next time we will do this where we're just doing segments on a particular project. But this is number 4 in a series. I know it's going to be at least 5, maybe 6 videos once we get it all finished and everything. But we're going to keep rolling. So we're going to try and get all the carving done on this video. We might not, but we're going to give it a shot. So here's what I'm going to do. Again, I've got all of my border as far as my line carved. Everything here, again, to remind everybody, everything in here is going to be background. So there's the letters, the tree are going to be outset. So that being said, the way this tree lined out, I have to be really careful because this tree is going to be outset. So I don't want to cut the black away. I want to cut the white away. So the original layout that I had shows that there's some spots in there. So those spots, rather than being white, they're actually going to be black. So I've got to just make some little spots, just kind of happenstance in there where I want some little spots to be. So let's get right into it, and we are going to do some routing. I'm going to do the tree first, get that done. I always try and get the hard stuff done first, and then the letters are kind of easy from that standpoint. Alright, so I got my light set up. I'm still using my profile bit, same bit that I used for the outside border. Alright, any questions? No questions from the Queen? Let's get into it. Here we go. Now, just so you guys know, you can see I didn't pick any particular spots. I just wanted some spots in there. So this is one of those deals, wherever it is, that's where it is. So I could put more, I could put less, but that just seemed about right to me. And now we'll get into the rest of it. You can see my line around this tree isn't really super defined because of the way that layout was. But again, it doesn't necessarily need to be. So I'll do these and then I'll go around the outside. could have gotten that little piece there. I think I'll go back and get that piece. One thing I wanted to do before somebody asked, somebody's going to ask, how deep are you going with that profile bit? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm using my, well, you can't see, but I'm using my little router bit depth gauge. I'll turn it around so you guys can read it. So it's a little, now, and again, remember guys, this bit, this profile bit's been ground probably half a dozen times at least. So this would be a different depth for a brand new profile bit. And again, any of you that have been watching for any length of time know I go more by the width of the cut than I go the depth. But this is just about actually right at 3/16 deep for this profile bit. But with a brand new profile bit that hadn't been sharpened yet, it's probably going to be, to go that width is probably going to be closer to 1/4 of an inch, because it's wider. The more you sharpen it, the wider the profile of the bit gets. Anyway, just to answer that question before you guys ask. So I'm going to do this little spot here, and then I'm going to jump down to these numbers. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. This turned out, this really tight grains in here, it turned out as I was carving it, you could see that when I came down here and I tried to go backwards a little ways, it kind of caught the grain and went sideways. I'm sure some of you guys can probably relate to that. In this particular instance, this is all going to be background, so it makes no difference at all getting away from the line like that. But you will also notice that, and again, I'm probably kind of, many of you have heard this already, but you can see in many places there's a thin black line that I've left around there. Again, I would rather err to the outside and leave a little thin black line than any place that I need to smooth that up. If it's not as smooth as I want it, then I can go back and either I can leave it there, like here. There's a thin black line there, but it's pretty straight. So I don't, and even in some of these spots, all of these spots really, pretty much most of them, I might touch that up a little bit. That looks like there's a little bit of a wobble there. Yeah, I might go back and touch that up a little bit. But in most cases, I will leave a little bit of extra room there and then go back when I'm not taking out so much material, and it's easier to kind of trim it out, so to speak. In some cases, I won't touch it. In some cases, I will. Like this one, I'll go back there and trim that out a little bit. Then I'm going to spin this around and start on that those top lines there. So, oh, and the other thing is, I did have a comment on these borders, especially these big straight lines on the side. I think somebody commented, couldn't you use a straight edge and either clamp, or in this particular case, and I've done this before years ago, I used to just nail a straight edge in these places where it's going to be background anyway, so it wouldn't matter, and use a straight edge for cutting those straight lines. You can absolutely do that. I haven't done that in years because honestly I like the challenge of keeping that straight line and keeping it going. But if you feel more comfortable by clamping up some straight edges or even having an edge guide for your router, by all means use whatever tools that you find necessary in order to have a good product. So you can absolutely do that. That's no problem at all, and I have done that in the past. I tend to not do it these days because I like the challenge of pulling a straight line without using a straight edge on there to go by. So anyway, let's. What was I going to do? Oh, I was going to touch that up and then spin it. Here we go. I like cutting from the right to the left, or excuse me, from the left to the right. Your right to my left, or your right to your left, my left to my right. Wow, I just confused the heck out of myself. I'm ignoring you. So I got a little dizzy there. I was confusing myself. All right, let's do some G. Here we go. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. One thing I didn't mention before is anytime you have a vertical grain going like this, and especially you could see that that thing really wanted to go squirrely on me many times when I'm going this direction than going across that grain. Generally speaking, when I'm carving a sign, the grain is going left to right, going horizontal rather than vertical. So there's always a little bit of a challenge when you have a vertical grain going this way, and it just it presents itself a few little problems. And in this panel board, which is it's some kind of a pine, I guess that's what it feels like to me. I think it's like a ponderosa pine. You will see, and you did see, that it kind of grabs here and there. So I really have to be careful and stay away from the line and then come back and just kind of touch it up, as you guys saw me do through both of these letters. Another thing that I like to do, if I find something that's really fighting me, which what this one is, then you'll see that I'll do most of my carving pulling from away, pulling to myself rather than pushing away. I tend to have better control doing that. The closer that you get to yourself and pulling where you've got the vision on this side of the router bit, you have a little bit better control. So that's what I tend to do. All right, so just to answer some questions there, I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest of these letters up off camera. Then we'll go back and we'll do our second operation, going down deeper, giving us a little bit more room. So we'll be back in a sec. All right, folks, we've got all of the profiling done. Everything's done with the profile bit. So now I have the 90-degree V-groove bit in. I'm not sure whether you're going to be able to see that. Mm-hmm. Got it? So this is just our standard 90-degree V-groove bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around and I'm going to make a wider line all the way around. I'm going to start with actually I'm going to start here on the border and then do these numbers. So you'll see how I go about this. Did I plug that in? Nope, I didn't plug it in yet. Surprised I didn't switch it on either. Here's a tip, by the way, guys. Anytime I ever plug a tool in, I don't know that I've ever even talked about this, but anytime I ever plug a tool in, I expect that it's on. I just do, because early on in my early years, there was a couple of times I plugged things in and it turns out that switch had been turned on. So I don't even look at the switch. I'm assuming that it's going to turn on when I plug it in. So hopefully it's off though. It is off. Anyway, just kind of a hint. I thought I'd pass that on. Here we go. Okay, so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm just going to go around everything. Oh, by the way, in case I didn't mention before, but this is the 618, so this is the bigger router. Anytime I'm doing any quite a bit of cleanup like I will on this, I'm always going to use my bigger, heavier router rather than using that little 611. It just cuts better. I'm going a full, by the way, I'm going an absolutely full 1/4 inch deep on here. And I've had a couple questions about, aren't you worried you're going to hit your screws from the back side? I'm not, because the screws are 1 inch length, and I've got about 1.5 inches here. Even though they're countersunked a little bit, I'm only going a 1/4 inch deep max, so there's no way I'm going to hit those the tips of those screws. So, or it's very, very unlikely, unless somehow one of those screws was a little bit longer, but I'm not too worried about it. So anyway, I am going to go ahead and finish up this this buffer zone. That's kind of what I call it. I'm going to do the tree, I'm going to do these letters and the rest of the border. Then we're going to come back and get into the regular background. We'll be right back. All right, boys and girls, we are into the really fun stuff now. I get to do all this background and get to kind of go crazy with a router. One point I wanted to make, I get questions every once in a while about big areas that you have that you're going to be cleaning out with this 90-degree V-groove. Now, let's say, for instance, this sign was 2 or 3 times as big as it is, and I had a spot as big as all of this to take out with the background bit. How do you keep it? Sorry. Bless you. I'm the one that's making the sawdust, and you're the sneezing. How do you keep that router bit from dipping? Well, all you really have to worry about is having some of the router to be on surface. So if I was in a big area, I would just make sure that my router base was on a part of my router base, which would be over here, would be on a flat. I don't want to stick that bit clear down into that wood without it running. Would be on a flat, but at some point I'll do a demonstration on that so you guys can see it. This one's not quite big enough to do that, but I will do a demonstration in the near future on exactly how to do that.
Turn it around your cords right in front of it.
Oh,
there we go.
Is that better? Mm-hmm. All right, so let's make some sawdust. I love this part. Here we go. I'm going to jump down to this area right here, guys. So, in case you guys think that I do all this and I don't get sawdust on me, yes, I do get plenty of sawdust
So
on me
do I.
when I, huh?
Said so do I.
Yeah, when I'm doing this process. But it's man glitter. I love it. It's my favorite part. Anyway, other than maybe sanding it and then blowing off once and doing the reveal. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest of this off camera. You guys got a really good idea of how I go about that, and for those of you that haven't seen me do that before, all I'm doing, if you look, then maybe slow it down. I go kind of fast, but I'm just making small indeterminate circles, basically kind of a circular motion, but not necessarily always one direction. I kind of go, indeterminate and just kind of work my way around. But what I was talking about before, like in this area, I will definitely keep a little bit more pressure on this side of the router to make sure that it stays flat when I'm doing that area. So anytime I'll kind of keep track of where my flat of my board is and make sure that I keep a little pressure there. So anyway, guys, if you have questions on it, you're going to email me. So I'm just about to sneeze.
And you have sawdust in your eyebrow.
Do I have sawdust in my eyebrows? Yeah, I've got sawdust all over. All right, so I'll finish this up off camera, and then when we come back, this will all be done, and we'll get this done. We'll be right back. All right, boys and girls, we are done with the background. I'm gonna actually, I kind of left it with most of the sawdust on it, or actually I blew it off 3 or 4 times as I was going through it, but there's a bunch of sawdust on it, so it'll be almost like a reveal, except it won't have the black in it. So let's see what all the background looks like here. So,
hold it up a little.
Yeah. So for those of you that say I don't seem to get sawdust on me, yeah, you're just not looking from the right angle. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the edging on this, but that'll be Monday. So this was number 4, so we're going to be into 5 and maybe 6 when it comes to actually finishing and all that, because I'm going to do something a little bit different on this one. So hope this was helpful, guys. Hope you liked it. Seem to be getting pretty good responses from people that they kind of like this series. So I'm having fun with it. I hope you guys are. So what?
Look up.
Oh, I thought you were still down on the board. So there are a couple more steps before we start spraying this. But we'll get into that on Monday. So everybody have a great weekend. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you have questions, please email me directly, eric@makeawoodsign.com. If you have questions for Vicky with Dave Signs, not with Vicky with Dave Signs at gmail.com. Not the duh in the middle. What else? What am I forgetting? Thumbs up if you liked it. If you didn't,
oh well.
It's the best I can do. Anyway, hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Bye.